Welcome to 70 System. This is DMG, and in this video, in our continuing series on general RPG discussions, we're going to talk about how to start to play a role-playing game. So if you like these videos and you'd like to support this channel, please check out patreon.com/70system, where there are various reward levels for thanking you. How do you start to play a role-playing game? Of course, this is a lot of confusion to people who are just starting out. Obviously, veteran gamers will have various opinions as to how they would have liked to have started, and this is probably an opinion to that effect. However, it really needs to be something where you are having a lot of fun, because if you're not having fun, you're not going to play again. So it's very important that the group that you're with, that there is an understanding between the players and all the players and the dungeon master, games master, director, whatever you call it in that game, that there is going to be fun. So if that is not your primary element, then you need to rethink your strategy. Now, a lot of people talk about session zero. So a session zero is where you sit down and you discuss what you want to get out of the game and this sort of thing. And so you'll see a lot of veteran players talk about a session zero. So whenever they're starting a new campaign with a new group, they have a session zero where you nut out the social contract of what's going to be happening. Now, if you've never played the game before, it's very difficult to have a session zero because you don't even know what session one is. So, this is a very difficult concept to start with. So, what I propose is that everyone sits down and has a quick discussion as to what the game actually is and what people are expected to do in the game. Because I am assuming you have never played and they have never played the game. So there needs to be a discussion as to what the game actually is. Because a lot of times when you're playing with brand new people, they don't understand the dice, they don't understand what they can say and when, and they don't understand that they're allowed to add to the story. And sometimes the dungeon master or games master doesn't know that they are allowed to as well, because it may not be explicitly spelled out in the books. What the different capabilities are for the players is very important to come up with in the beginning. The nitty-gritty of the rules comes when you play. So when you get into your first combat, then you can start to discuss the rules and that sort of thing. But what's more important is right at the beginning, so that players know this is what I can do and say, and what I'm allowed to and not allowed to do in the game. So that there's no ugly moments where I thought I could do X and I thought I could do Y, and my cousin said that this is how you're supposed to play, and that's not how you play. So that's the most important discussion, and usually when people talk about session zero and the social contract, really this is a primary thing for first-time players. Once you've actually played many games, session zero in terms of what type of game you're going to be playing and what people are expecting from the story and what kind of characters people are going to be playing, that is melded into a session zero, whereas this is a session preparation that happens before the game starts. And I would usually say that this should happen at the beginning of the first session. So take 15-20 minutes, even if you write out this is what you can do and this is what you can't do as a player or a DM, so that everyone knows that the DM controls the monsters. So they don't roll for the monsters, they roll for their own characters to do things. So these are the things that need to be explained to them, which obviously is going to help smooth over getting the rules to them, because otherwise they don't understand why the rules are the way they are. Of course, this is going to vary from game to game, so it depends on the game that you're actually starting with. You also want to go through the character sheet and explain what the different sections are and what's going to be important to the game you're about to play. So if the game you're about to play is not going to contain elements that are on the character sheet, like let's say for instance there's going to be no magic in the game, but it's got a whole spell section, don't go through explaining all the spells if you're not actually going to use that in the game. So rather just explain the things that they are going to need, things like the hit points or injuries, damage, etc., weapons, armor, you know, these things are important. Look, even the stats themselves, early on, if you're going to be using pre-generated characters, so that's the director or the storyteller or someone in the game has created the characters beforehand, and so the players don't have to go through the character creation, because a lot of times people can get bogged down in the character creation. They don't really know why they're doing these things. It's better for them to play the game and then realize, okay, if I then get a character with more strength, I can do this. If I have a character with more dexterity, I can do that. If I have more charisma, I can do this. If I have more wisdom, I can do that. So that's where, you know, the experience of playing the game will influence what they do. So I think the first few sessions should be things where they're using different characters so they can see how they work, and then move into actual character generation so that they have an understanding of what the characters can actually do and what is important and not important when they're actually playing the game. Because otherwise, if they just set off to create a character, they go through the book, they have no idea what this is for, and it's just going to fall flat. So, big proponent of pre-generated characters for first-time players. But again, it depends on the system. Some systems are extremely light on character creation, so that doesn't really matter as much. Whereas other systems, you know, character generation is a huge part of it. So, you know, it depends, again, on the game that you're playing. Another thing to be very clear about is where the dice are rolled and what is considered a cocked dice and when is the person allowed to pick up the dice and re-roll them. There's a lot of combat that starts to happen over this is not a cocked dice, yes it is, no it's not, etc. You need to kind of lay down the law and say this is where you roll the dice, and if this is, and the dice needs to roll, and it needs to lie in this way in order for it to be considered correct. I'm just warning you now. So if you like this video, click the like button. You can also check me out on Facebook and Twitter /7dsystem. And if you'd like to see future videos, subscribe to this channel, which is youtube.com/7dsystem. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.